Welcome to this week's episode of the Aiming Five Hole Podcast with Phil and Ryan. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing well, Phil. I'm doing real well. I've got a team in a
Yes.
playoff position.
Your team continues to be one of the hottest teams since the All-Star break. They got a few losing two in OT, but they played strong against the Avs. They came back from a 3-1 deficit. I was impressed.
It was
Looking good.
well.
I don't want to like the Habs right now, but I have to be like on your side a little bit here. It'd be nice to see them in the playoffs so we can beat their asses.
I know. So the funniest thing about it is that it was a great comeback and a bummer that they lost in the shootout. It was a long shootout, which you'd love to see. I love those high drama shootouts. Mike Matheson had a great chance right at the end of overtime that he couldn't put in. The Canadiens almost pulled off, an incredible comeback, but they, for the third time in the last week and a bit, they came back in a third period from a deficit. They lost an overtime or in the shootout, but they got a point out of it, and it's kept them in a playoff spot.
Did you see the standing ovation they're getting because when it got announced they're in a playoff position?
Oh yeah,
The
the
fans
crowd is
erupted. It
so
was
in,
pretty cool.
the crowd is so into it. It's fun to watch. But what I'll say is Sean McIndoe of The Athletic was talking about the Eastern Conference bubble teams, and he was like saying it's like a turtle race because none of the teams are like more than over 500 in their last 10 games, which is the most misleading thing you could possibly say. First of all, Sean McIndoe hates the Canadiens and always has. But he's technically right that the Canadiens are a 500 team in their last 10 games, but they are 5-1-4. They have 14 points in 10 games, which translates to a 114-point season, which I would take.
I have to admit, I've been impressed by this stretch since the All-Star break. I'll call it the All-Star break, the
The
Four
Four
Nations
Nations.
break. They've been playing great. As much as I like to dump on the Habs, I have to give them credit. Like it'd be nice to see them in the playoffs, especially because it come at the expense of the two New York teams, which I can't stand and don't want to see them in the playoffs.
No, that fair enough. It's addition by subtraction
See
in
how
your mind.
I'm on your side, but I'm not really on your side.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
like I
trying
said,
to.
addition by subtraction. But so what I would say, Bill, is um, obviously the top line is getting all the credit right now. I mean, they're the hottest line in hockey right now. It's fantastic to watch. I love the way Uri Slafkovsky's playing. Patrick Laine has started doing this thing called back checking that nobody ever has seen
Does
before.
he even know where his own end is?
Yeah, he finally realized that there are two blue lines
He knows
on
he's
the
allowed to.
ice.
It's not like lacrosse where you can't go past your own 30.
It's
You
two
can
blue
go back
lines.
in your own zone in this
Yep.
system in hockey.
So he's been great. Montembeault throughout all of this has been great some nights, and he's led in some softies. A couple of the goals he led in last night were a little soft. A couple of goals against the Islanders were not that impressive, but he makes big saves in third periods when the comeback is in full force and
Yeah.
effect. So I guess you got to take the bad with a lot of good at the same time. Look, I've been saying this for a few weeks now. They are playing a very fun brand of hockey to watch. I'm really enjoying it. I really, given that I said they were a 500 team at the beginning of the year, and I said they were a 500 team, during their little swoon after their hot December.
Come on, let's be honest. You said they were a 500 team 2 weeks ago before they went on this run.
Well, that's it. That was the swoon. After their hot December. They've proved me wrong. They're learning how to play a winning brand of hockey and what it takes to do that. So, hey, next year they'll have, Ivan Demidov on the team, and God knows who they'll trade for or sign in the
You're
free
already
agents.
going into next season? What have you
Hey, I don't
given
think
up?
they're winning the Stanley Cup this season. I'm like, this is
Hey,
all
I think we both got the same theory of how to support our teams. Dump on them as much as you can, and
low
then they all of a
expectation.
sudden play better.
Yeah,
I'm
low
convinced it's
expectations.
working for both of us right now. No, it's good. Like, look at this point now, it's too early to call. But I think they got a good shot at it here. They got a couple games in hand on the Rangers. Islanders got a
The
point
Islanders
tonight,
always
but
have a way of crapping their pants with a week
yeah,
left in the
yeah.
season.
Well,
I'm not
it's
worried about the Islanders.
yeah, nah, it's really between them and the Rangers. You got to keep the Islanders in there only because, but I think the Columbus has kind of got into a collapse. They're 2-7-1 in the last 10. They've kind of somehow found the toilet bowl pretty quickly in the last week and a half.
Yep.
But it's too bad. But I think it's now between your Habs and the two New York teams, and even I'm going to vote for you guys over the two New York teams, and that tells you how much I don't like the two New York teams.
Love it. Love it. I would love to catch I would love to catch Ottawa if we could. They're only
It's
4 points up.
they're only 4 points up, but Ottawa's playing pretty strong.
That
And
could
and and
turn.
and
They,
difficulty of schedule down the stretch. I think if I remember,
they're pretty easy.
the Ottawa has the third easiest schedule remaining of the last 11 or 12 games.
Okay.
I think
So
the
they'll
Leafs are in the top five of having easy schedules. They're up there as well. So I think catching Ottawa, let's now you've gone from telling me they're a 50-50 team to now they're going to catch the Ottawa
no,
Senators.
no, no,
So
no. I'm just saying
blow
I'd
your
love to
jets
see
there,
them
Red Man.
catch I'm saying I'd love to see them catch Ottawa just because they would play
I
Toronto in the first round.
Well, that would be fun. That would be fun because then you know what? You and I would have to go to Canada and go and watch all five of those games, watch the Leafs beat the Habs in five.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I'll go broke.
That would be half. Well, I'm just going to get my money back that I gave you years ago.
Yeah. So we're gonna spend thousands of dollars to watch all of those games live just so you could win your $100 back.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta get that back. It's more of a sentimental victory than it is
Oh,
anything
believe me.
else.
Well, I mean, it's not just the fact that it's $100. It's $100 bill that sits in a plaque
Yes.
with a giant
Yeah.
CH logo on it that is
Well,
hanging
let's
very
also
proudly in my office,
for
by
the
the way.
people that don't know on this thing, this wasn't even a Toronto Montreal bet. This was a Montreal Bruins bet. I bet on the Bruins to beat the
That's right.
Habs. We didn't. You didn't even know I was sending it to you in a framed picture.
it was
I
it was
I was just
great.
sending you $100 and I sent it to you in a framed picture.
Uh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
It
I'm
was
glad you haven't
beautiful.
spent that in the wrong places. Oh man, that's fun. But you know what? I'd love to replay that again. Love to replay, but being the Leafs versus.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me about the Leafs this week.
Oh,
What are you happy with? You're
I,
off the couch.
well,
You're
I
you're
was
either
off the
off the
couch
couch.
all week, off the week until Saturday. Like, remember, let's go back a week ago, and I said coming up last week when they were going to play Calgary, the Avs, the Rangers, and the Preds. I said the way they played the week before, the only game they have a shot at winning is the game against the Preds.
It's the only one they didn't win.
It's the only one they didn't win. Look at this team is absolutely driving me crazy right now because the week before they played terrible. Just bad defensively, bad all over the ice, showed zero lack of effort, zero urgency. Apparently there was a coming to Jesus moment in the change room. Matthews got up, finally said something, and then went out and showed leadership and got himself going. They beat up on Calgary it at home. Then they Abs came into town and they played probably one of their best five-man unit team games in both ends. They played the Avs game and the Rangers game. They played like they did in the fall when we were talking about playing this Berube style hockey, playing hard, gritty, winning puck battles, playing in both ends of the rink. Now, look, if they weren't perfect in both games, Wool and Stolhart stood on their head in both those games and helped out, and obviously, and played great. But they still played good hockey. There was an effort there. There was a sense of urgency there. There was a sense of team togetherness there in those two games, even in the Calgary game. And then they walk into Nashville. It's like those two games never happened. They came out, scored the first two goals, and lo and behold, they gave up another two-goal lead and got five unanswered against them in the rest of the way. It was They actually went up 3-0 and the goal got called back. And then all hell broke loose and they forgot to play hockey again. And um, apparently this morning at practice, Berube was just screaming at them the whole time during practice today. So hopefully tomorrow they come out better. But we know the style that they need to play. We know when they play that style, they can beat the elite teams. They can. We know they can. They're
They
not going to be
should.
perfect. They proved it. They're not going to be perfect. If they get good goaltending, they can beat anybody. They can beat the Avs. They can make the Avs look like a not as fast of a team as they are, and they could play great. But we need to see that out of them on a regular basis again. And we did last week. But they're
They have
blowing
a
an
tendency to take their
opportunity.
foot off the gas.
Yeah, they have a tendency to go fall asleep, and that just can't happen. And
Yeah.
especially as we get down. Now, we all know that these next 12 games before the playoffs are going to be, let's get themselves ready. Let's hope Berube can kick them back into what they did last week because lo and behold, now last week I said there was only one game they should win. This week there's only one game they have a shot at losing, and that's the game against the Kings because we play the Flyers, the Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks before coming home to play the Panthers next week. So
Wow.
there's these are 4 games on the road. We're doing our West Coast. Well, I shouldn't call it a complete West Coast string because we start with it in Philadelphia, but then we play the Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks.
You,
We have to win 3 of those 4 games, and we should beat LA even. But LA at home is tough. We've
LA at
talked
home's
about this.
tough, tough out, man.
So it's the opposite of what should have happened last week. Should happen this week. We should really only lose one. Look, we'll lose 3 of 4, and you know what? The only team we're going to beat is the LA Kings.
Oh, and then I'm gonna have to send Jen a note to keep you away from sharp objects.
Yeah, absolutely. The good thing is these games are all late. I might not be able to be
You will watch
awake
them.
for all of them, so I'm going to try. But
Be,
we've seen it. We know how the style of hockey they need to play. They prove they can do it. If they can do it, we're in fine shape.
yep.
But we got to continue doing on a current basis. So let's get on with it. Again, this week is going to be a big week. They need to win at least 3 or 4.
I want to segue from something that you were talking about at the Avs game uh, into a little topic about the Avs, who have looked mostly really good since all of their trades. They've got
Eight one
nine
and
new
one
guys
in
on
the
the
last
roster
10.
since.
8-1-1 in the last 10 games. They're looking good.
But but
But
but
but
do you have some concerns, as I think I do, about their defensive depth and the goaltending?
yes, I think I've said this the last time we had this conversation.
Yeah, well,
I still
but that was
question their
before. But that
goaltending.
was before they spent $10 million on goaltending, like
Well, let's
on
be honest. We
trades.
said this when they signed Blackwood to a $5 million contract, yearly AAV contract. This guy didn't deserve $5 million given his career record. So I was flabbergasted when they gave it to him. Look at this team has won a Stanley Cup with mediocre goaltending.
True.
They can because they can outscore their competition. But we've talked about this in the playoffs. The last few years, defensive hockey's won the Stanley Cup. They've got to play good team defenses. They're not going to win this because of their goaltending and because of their defensive play. They're going to have to win it because they score and they play a great 5-man unit. And I think that's the same for the Leafs. I think they're going to have to play because they're, to your point, they don't have the depth in defense and their goaltending can be questionable. They have to play a strong 5-man unit game all over the ice. Same as the Leafs. The Leafs should have strong defensive talent now and should have good goaltending. The problem is the Leafs have trouble getting the puck out of their own end. They got to play
Yeah.
a good, strong 5-man unit hockey. I think that's the same thing for the Avs. But the big thing difference between the Avs and the Leafs, the Avs can score goals at will.
Yeah.
And so I think that's their strong point. But again, I think the problem for the Avs is going to be not just their goaltending, is that they're going to run the gauntlet. There's no way no one's catching Winnipeg, I don't think. I
No.
don't think anybody's catching Winnipeg at this point. So Dallas and the Avs are destined to play round one against each other. What they're
That's
really playing for right now against each other is home ice advantage.
yes.
And unfortunately for the Avs, Dallas has got a 3-point lead and 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
So the Avs have got to try and catch them to try and get home ice advantage. And that could be the difference in this series. Home ice could be the difference in this series.
It could be. On the other hand, and the things that I think are going to balance out against each other in that series are the Dallas goaltending
Yeah.
versus the Colorado power play. Because that power play looked amazing against Montreal, that first unit. I mean, it's just loaded for bear.
Yes.
Lots of creativity, speed on at all five parts of the ice,
Well,
all five positions.
the puck's just not moving fast. The guy like McKinnon's just doesn't stop moving. That guy just flies around the zone. He's always moving around. And if you don't have your head on a swivel, he gets behind you. The puck's behind you.
Yeah,
And
and
then they got
Natchez is the
McCarr that
same
can throw
way.
the puck on a dime onto a stick. It's just crazy. So
Yeah, Natchez is the same. You got McCarr quarterbacking it.
yeah,
Nichushkin is enormous,
right.
but still very talented with the puck. Like they're a very strong first power play unit. I'm really
Absolutely.
impressed with them.
Yeah.
Um,
No question.
so I think that's the question in that series, regardless of home ice advantage, is can Ottinger outplay that power play,
Yep.
and
No
can
question.
Dallas stay out of the box?
Yeah, that's going to be a big question mark. But yeah, I think that those two teams are destined to play in round one, and it's going to be up. That is one. I'm watching every one of those games. Unless the Leafs are playing in the same
At the
time
same
slot, they
time.
shouldn't be because of the time difference of,
Mm-hmm.
but that is going to be a series I'll be watching every night because that's going to be
I
so fun to watch.
I think you're right
And I think Winnipeg is just hoping the two of them beat the crap out of each other.
for sure,
Get to us while you're injured. Get to us while you're tired and you've played. They're begging that series to go seven, and they would love to see seven overtime games,
for sure,
or at
for
least one
sure.
that goes into third or fourth overtime, and have them just gasp by the time they get to them because Winnipeg is likely going to pay. It's no picnic either, St. Louis or Minnesota. And likely whoever is probably Minnesota at this point, but that's no given.
But wouldn't that? So you were saying
No.
Edmonton and
Actually,
L.A.
Winnipeg's going to play St. Louis. They're going to play the last place team because there's no one going
Oh,
to catch them either. So,
yeah.
they're going to play St. Louis or Calgary, uh, or Vancouver.
Hey, don't count out Utah.
Yeah, Utah's
I
gone.
can't, I
Uh,
called Utah at the beginning of the season. I'm
I
not
called
counting
St.
them out.
Louis at the beginning. I think still it's going to be St. Louis at this point.
Not after the Canadiens beat them tomorrow night.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. But I think the team we got to worry about when you kind of talk about Canadian teams is Edmonton. How
Yeah.
unlucky for them. Draisaitl and McDavid go down within a game of each other, and they're gone from the sounds of it for all of this week. They're going to miss
Yep.
3 games this week. They somehow pulled out a victory the other night without either of them. Now, again, it was against the Kraken, so it doesn't matter. But
Still counts.
it still counts. But to be without those guys at this critical juncture, and we were talking about this before we started taping, is that you're suggesting that it might not be a bad thing because other guys got to step up. They're going to get a little rested. But is it really a good thing for them to miss a week at this time of the year when they desperately need to get home ice advantage? Neither of these two teams are unlikely to catch Vegas.
Yeah.
Unlikely to catch Vegas. Um,
No, but they're locked in a dog fight with LA. There's no
yeah.
question. But are they going to play each other in the first round? I thought LA was on track to play Vegas in the first
No, because Vegas is going to win the division. So Vegas is going to be the 2 seed.
round. Oh yeah,
And so Los Angeles and Edmonton are going to play each other. And we talked about this. Edmonton needs home ice disadvantage because
yeah,
LA's home record is incredible.
yeah.
They're
They
25,
lock
3, and
people
4.
down
Right. So like if you're Edmonton, you desperately want to get home ice advantage. And we talked about this earlier. If you want to talk about a goaltender issue going into the playoffs, neither Skinner or Picard looked particularly great. Picard played great the other night, while both of them, McDavid and Draisaitl, were out. But I just don't trust these two goaltenders. Like,
Well, look, Skinner got into the final last year.
yeah,
He played very, very well. So you have to
but
at
he was
least
firing on all
entertain the
cylinders.
possibility that he could do it again.
Yes, there's always the possibility you can do it again. But we talked about this is a different team than it was last year. They're not as gritty. They're not scoring as much. They're relying on two guys this year. There's no Kane at this point, although he's skating again. So who knows he's going to come back, but how much can he do? But Skinner last season in the second half of the season got hot and stayed hot the whole second half of the season. He has been like a roller coaster that's got to be given
Yeah.
the coaching staff and the team just absolute indigestion watching these two play in and out because you never it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get going into the night. Are these guys going to be able to stop their own breath? Like you don't know. It's just so unpredictable right now with these two. So, it's just not a comfortable position going in to the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Yeah.
and then to have to run the gauntlet of LA and then and then likely Vegas before you get to the Jets, Dallas, or Colorado. Like
Yep.
I just don't see them running full steam and getting that far this year now. Like I just don't think we talked about this. They didn't do enough at the deadline to
No, they
shore up
didn't.
their issues.
But I will say, if they do, there will be no debating that 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 McDavid and Draisaitl are the greatest duo since Lemieux and Yager.
No question. Because if they do it, it's because of those two.
Yeah.
It's absolutely because of those two. And you know what? If they do it, I'd love to see it because we called it at the beginning of the season them winning the
Right.
Stanley Cup.
Don't want to look
So
like idiots.
don't look like idiots. But like, I don't know. I'd really
There
like
are
to see them.
67 other reasons why we look like idiots this season. Let this not be
Yeah.
one of them.
Outside of the Leafs, you know what? Connor McDavid is one of those generational players that I just can't see him not winning a Stanley Cup. Now, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but that guy's got to win a Stanley Cup. It was like watching Lemieux in the early years, and you were thinking, is this guy going to win a Stanley Cup? And he finally got one. He did. And even
Yeah.
Ovechkin, the same thing. When Ovechkin won his, 5 years ago, whatever it was when they won, more than that, I guess now. Everybody's saying the same thing. This guy just can't. You can't see this guy going through his career not winning a Stanley Cup. McDavid's getting to that point in his career now where he's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but he's been in the league is 8 years, 9 years, what he's been in the league now. So it's getting to that dangerous point where this team and the way they've built this team, if they don't win soon, they're gonna have to rebuild it at some point.
Yeah, and will he want to be around for that?
Right. And you see them really trade like okay, Gretzky got traded, so anybody can get traded, but he
I
might
don't see.
request to be traded at some point if it goes that way. But I
They need to retool quickly if they don't win this year.
yeah, they're gonna have to do what
If
like Washington's that blueprint, I guess, right now. No one says they're
tough
gonna
blueprint
up.
because they didn't have the salaries weighing them down.
No, but did I sent you that thing? And I could be wrong. I can't. I gotta look at it again. I sent you that thing about the salary cap room going into next year. Oh, that's not it.
Yeah.
Where is it? Why isn't it coming up? Here you go. No, they're not on this list. Of course not. But
But it's teams that are in
yeah,
good
with a
salary
good salary
cap
cap, like
positions.
miraculously on that list though, the Jets have 37.5 million um dollars in cap room for next year, which I couldn't believe in. So we're getting off topic, but
Yeah, but by the
um
way, that's a great point. But you have to convince $37 million worth of player to go play in the
yeah, true. Hey, look at if they get to the cup this year, you're not going to have that issue of people not getting people are going to want to buy tickets
NFL.
and people are going to want to go and be part of that because if they can keep that team together, that's a squad that can definitely win again. They just signed Hullabug.
No,
Yeah, we'll see.
it's
Maybe I'm just getting
still
ahead of
it's
myself.
still
I
Winnipeg.
want the cup to come back to Canada. I so
It's
desperately want the cup, especially this year, given how much going on. Like, you know what? Canada winning four nations, a Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup is really important this year.
I
Let's
don't
not get
know
into
if I would
politics.
be
No one's
able to
listening to us for politics.
I don't know if I'd be able to root for Ottawa to win over an American team if they
Yeah.
made the final. It would be so hard for me to root
Another
for.
Kachuk winning the Stanley Cup
Like
might
this,
make me
just I
throw
couldn't
up.
do
It
it.
might
I
make me
couldn't do
throw
it.
up 2 years in a row.
I could not do it.
No, no. Like, it's not going to happen anyways. They're not getting there. But you know what? I said they're a dangerous team in round one. I don't want to play them in round one. And if it's going to be Florida or Toronto is going to play them. I don't think I want to play them.
No,
They're
No.
looking pretty, they're 7-2-1 in the last 10. They've been playing very tough hockey, and if Allmark gets hot in the playoffs, he could win a series.
If I had to choose, if I had to choose between Ottawa and New Jersey, I'd want to play New Jersey any day of the week.
Yeah, yeah. Because they're not going to,
What?
doesn't matter. They catch New Jersey. New Jersey, the only way New Jersey gets supplanted out of third place in the Metropolitan is if the Rangers or the Islanders get up there.
Oh,
Not even, it's the Rangers got to get up there. Islanders in Toronto's
oh,
division. So and that's not going to happen. So unless the
oh.
New
So
Jersey
the
really
so
goes in the tank, right? Because it's the conference, right? So
right.
the
So they
division.
would play if
The
if
only
the Leafs
way
finish, if the Leafs finish third, they'd play New Jersey, wouldn't they?
No, because New Jersey's playing Colorado, playing Carolina. The only way the Leafs would play New Jersey is if New Jersey gets caught by New York Rangers or the
Okay.
Islanders.
So they're otherwise they're playing Tampa.
Yeah, right. And given for me, and I said this last week, it's the Leafs playing Tampa or the Leafs playing Ottawa. I'd rather than play Tampa Bay. Yes, Vasilevsky can get you, but we talked about this defense in Tampa doesn't scare anybody. And the Leafs have not beaten Ottawa all season and made
So
and
you want
looked bad
Florida to
against
take the
Ottawa.
division?
Oh, no, yeah, yeah, probably.
Okay, so all of this business about you being on the couch and worried about Florida and the standings and
No,
all of
but it's
that
not. It's
business.
not about being on the couch because of being Florida. It's being on the couch of how they're playing and how they're losing and blowing leads and not
Yep.
playing tough playoff style hockey and not playing with urgency. And that's what's got me worried that they can't seem to play with urgency on a regular basis. They did it for
Okay.
3 games last week and then crap the bed on Saturday. Let's hope they bring it back again this week, and they talked about it again after Saturday's game. They were pissed off and they should be pissed off, you know.
They should be as pissed off as you are,
Oh,
anyway.
it's beside myself. I feel like I'm like my head's spinning on I think. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We have to talk about one point.
Okay.
We have to be, and I don't know how much we don't probably have a lot of
We got a few
time.
minutes left.
We got to talk about one point because I sent you a quote, and I never quote this person. I don't
You
enjoy
hate
talking
PK.
about this. I
But just
hate
as context
PKN.
here for our 18 listeners, you and PK Subban don't have a good relationship. He rubs you the wrong way. Like
He is
he really gets under your skin.
He's terrible. He's trying to be the modern day Don Cherry, and he's not pulling it off. He sounds pathetic. He's a terrible
Yep.
He's, as I've said this before, he's as bad of a broadcaster as he was a hockey player. But forget it for a moment. But he said something for the first time ever. I'll give PK Subban's credit for saying something intelligent. Justin Hall has been soft since he's been in the league. So that's on Stevie Y for signing him. He was soft in Toronto, still soft. The line of the week coming out of PK. I couldn't agree more. I have never agreed with anything PK Subban has ever said until he said this about
Wow.
Justin Hall in Detroit. I hated Justin
Wow.
Hall as a Toronto Maple Leafs. He was soft. He's darn right. And I can't believe I'm agreeing with something that
So
PK
you've
Subban said.
actually hate Justin Hall more than PK Subban, which is pretty impressive.
I just when he said that, I couldn't resist sending it to you. I
Oh
knew it
my
was going to come.
gosh.
I knew you were going to give me grief for it, but you know what? I'll say it. PK Subban finally said something intelligent.
Finally said something I can tell. Okay. Well,
Let's
then
leave it at that.
I will finish off this week's episode referring to um, the the little factoid I sent you today. I don't know what year this was from, but it was when Jaromir Jagr was at the twilight of his career playing for the Florida Panthers, and he was playing a game against the Maple Leafs. And at that point in career points, Jaromir Jagr had 1,856 points.
Yeah,
And the entire Maple Leafs roster on the ice that night had 1,836 points.
it's amazing. Now let's keep in mind. Let's keep in mind. Jeremy Yager he's in his 50s now and he's been retired for 10 years. So and then he was in Florida before he retired. So this is 12 years ago.
Yeah, this was rebuilding
That was
league.
during those Leaf years where I wanted to put a gun to my head watching that team. So, they were bad team. But yes, that's pretty funny that he had
That
more
one player
career.
had more points than the rest of than the entire team for
That's
the career.
crazy. That's crazy. But anyways, hey,
Yeah.
fun stuff. Fun stuff. What a great week. It's going to be interesting week. These next couple weeks as we get closer to the playoffs continue to
Yep.
be the funnest time of the year, and then the first round of the playoffs are going to be spectacular. So I look
Well,
forward
I'm
to
going to
continue
be.
having these conversations with you. We
Oh,
can
I'm trying to time my knee surgery to the start of the playoffs so that I can have
very
an
good.
excuse to spend a lot of time in front of the television.
Well, we're gonna have excuses anyways because it's research. That's why I keep telling my wife it's
It's
research.
research.
It's
Yes.
research.
Yes. Research for the benefit of our 18 listeners.
Yes. That's marketing put at its best. Anyways, you have a good
Absolutely.
week. We'll
You
talk
too.
to you next week. Go Leafs, go Habs.
All right, buddy.
Talk to you soon, man.